We are out here in the middle of the 40-mile desert because we're crazy people. Anyway, so these epic ruins you see right here behind me, this is what's left of Hawes Station. Now, right now, I know you're thinking, why the hell would anyone build a station in the middle of the desert? Now, if we're walking around right here, you'll see this trail that goes along here and all the way into this desert. Now, this was the Carson Trail. And the reason for this Carson Trail was for the people coming over the California Trail that didn't want to go through the Carson River Canyon. So they built this much easier and shorter route, but it came right here through the 40-mile desert, which is where we're kind of in the middle of right now.
But death lurked beside each trail. Still, man's insatiable lust for the golden fleece overpowered his fear of death, and their wagon wheels rolled on. Many in their eagerness to reach the mother lode took the short cut, unaware of the valley's endless stretch of sand, heat, and desolation. They plodded on into the deep and burning depression. Arid winds swept the dunes, and their blackened tongues hung out from thirst. But here was death.
Basically, a whole bunch of this, and then some more of that. Not fun at all. It was a great relief to those weary travelers as they were coming down here because they got to see this. After miles and miles of nothing, there was a station house. And this station house right here, it had a well, clean water, whiskey, extra horses, and a whole lot of fun.
Whiskey!
But right here where we're standing at Hawes Station, this is just one of, get it, 100 stations along this route. That's right, Jerry, 100 stations were set up. Now, even though it was called Hawes Station, it was originally built by a man named Willard Gates.
Willard, aka Willet Gates, built Hawes Station in 1852. No, you heard that right. It was one of the first stations along the Carson Trail. In fact, it's so old that by 1870, they were referring to it as the old station.
In the 1850s, this was a very busy stage station. This place was busy. You had stables, you had Pony Express, you had people stopping. There was a restaurant, there was food, there was a store. People could stay here. There was a well. This had everything the 1850 traveler through the middle of the desert could want or expect, including desert. Because I don't know if you've noticed, there's not much out here. But one cool thing is once the Pony Express and the Overland Trail came through, this turned into a Pony Express station.
On April 3rd, 1860, 49 letters left St. Joseph, Missouri by the first Pony Express. For 10 days and 10 nights, those 49 letters were galloped across America. Stage stations had to be built every 15 miles along the route. 500 of the fastest horses in the West had to be bought. Across the wide Missouri, then down into the great basin of the Washoe, a murderous desert still uncharted and not yet christened Nevada. For 79 weeks, the Pony Express was the glory of America and the wonder of the world.
Through the rain and the sleet and the snow and the hail, they never did stop and they never did fail. The Pony Express, they carried the mail.
There were stables right over here behind me where the Pony Express could switch their horses, which they had to do every 15 to 20 miles. And it also had a station right here, and it had a spot for people to stay. We discovered ruins of a 2-bedroom house up there, and then the main bulk of the house right here. One cool thing about this house you can see behind me, we're going to walk over there in a minute, is that it's been sitting here since 1851. Now that's a long, long time.
By the time 1861 rolled around, the Pony Express was quickly being replaced by the Overland telegraph lines, and suddenly communication got a lot cheaper and a lot easier. This prompted most of the closings of the old stations, and Willard Gates to pack up shop and move to greener pastures.
After Willard Gates sold the station, he sold it to a gentleman who sold it to a gentleman whose last name was Hawes.
After a brief ownership by the Stockton brothers, who would go on to own the very popular Stockton Station, aka Stockton Wells, the station was sold to one Mr. Bert Hawes in the mid to late 1860s.
Now, in the 1870s, this railroad we see right next to us right here came through, and this made the Carson Trail obsolete.
Unfortunately for Bert Hawes, his ownership would be short-lived, because in 1870, the railroad came through the area, and suddenly transportation got a lot cheaper, a lot faster, and a lot easier. And the Carson Trail became completely obsolete and no one traveled down it anymore. This prompted the closure of Hawes Station for good.
So one can imagine how lonely it must have gotten being out here with no one coming by. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot out here.
Willard Gates ended up moving to Fresno, California, where he became one of the wealthiest ranchers in the area. I couldn't find out anything about what happened to Bert Hawes, but his name and his legacy live on in the crumbling ruins of what was once the first station along the Carson Trail.
Picture yesterday, I miss the golden days. You mean the olden days, where they taught the golden rule as I sat upon the stool at the rustic country school. I bet you sadly miss your mother's goodnight kiss. I miss my daddy's knee. I miss the old folks now. I miss the golden days. I miss the...
Hey, baby. See you never. Bye.
Shit. He's got the car keys.